This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts. Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Dumpster Diving. This is a little different here. I'm gonna level with you on what's going on with us. So, Mike and I have decided we're going to kind of do things a little bit differently. The main show is going to stay the same, so no one has to worry. The main show is just going to be the main show.
Stop worrying.
The main show that we do. We're going to talk about 9/11. We're going to talk about the Holocaust. We're going to talk about AIDS. Yep, it's going to happen. Don't worry, the main show is going to stay how it is. Dumpster diving is going to change a little bit, though. So dumpster diving is going to be a little bit more of a enriching, full experience. The main show, as all of you know, begins with the IMDb game. This show will begin with keeping current with Mike for as long as we feel like doing that. And then maybe
we like to change things up to deal with it,
right? And then we'll get into what we're talking about with dumpster diving. Obviously, there might be some more ancillary stuff going on, but those will be the two main shows. As you can see, one comes out. The main show comes out Thursday. This comes out Friday, and then we get the weekend free. So, and if we think of something else to do, something that we think's fun, something that's maybe like a limited type thing where we only do 10 episodes of it or something like that. We might throw that at you at some point. Like Mike said, we like to keep things fresh and new. So. That's kind of what's going on right now. Mike, do you want to get right into keeping current, or I've got a couple news stories I could mention?
Yeah, let's do some news stuff. Do we have any emails?
Oh yeah. Let me get the emails. Here I'm gonna.
All these dumb fucks who emails.
While I open the email, I'm gonna tell you about the news stories that I saw. So two things. Of some interest, I suppose. The one is that there's a new Stephen King adaptation on the rise. I guess they've signed the deals. It's in production and everything. It's The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. Are you familiar with that?
I have not read that one, but I am kind of familiar with it. It's like Tom Gordon's like a pitcher for the Mets, maybe.
The Red Sox. He was the Red Sox's closer, Flash Gordon. They called him.
Yeah, I don't know much about this at all, to be honest with you.
It basically
is it related to like low men in yellow coats?
No, not really. Unfortunately,
isn't that a sweet title though? I mean, of all like your short stories, that's like the coolest title.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that title. It's a good a good section of that too. The low men in yellow coats.
What's the one where the guy's like just like he's like kind of like a psychic and he's like writing these letters and the letters are like causing people to do stuff. They just like send him money and he just like throws the rest in the drain.
Yeah. Yes, I know what you're talking about. I think that was, what collection was that in? It was one of the more recent ones.
Like All Dark Full of Stars? Is that a collection of his?
Yes, I believe that's the one it was too.
2001: A Space Odyssey.
No, that's right. It's
Oh my God! It's full of stars.
Yeah. That's the. But yeah, that's a very good short story too. But that's the Low Men in Yellow Coats.
I really love his short stories. I mean, his novels obviously are really good too, but his short stories. Another one I like is where it's like this guy meets Satan at like a roadside like a stop or like a rest area or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And he basically makes a pact where he ruins his friend's life and he just gets so much joy from this.
Yeah, I remember that. I think I can't remember what collection that one's in, but yeah, he's it's like a frenemy basically. The guys he's been like super jealous of him because everything goes right in this guy's life, and the other guy's like dying of cancer and shit like that. And the devil's basically, like you said, basically like, well, I'll cure your cancer and maybe some good stuff will happen to you, but I got to take it from this guy. This guy's like, and that guy's like, yeah, like you said, his marriage ends up getting ruined. Like he's been cheating on his wife and shit like that. It's kind of it's sort of okay to root for the guy because even though he's doing something that's completely like asshole-ish, because this guy was like cheating on his wife before any of this happened and stuff. Like there's hints that the guy's already kind of a dick and he's just like sort of getting what he deserves, but obviously, still super cruel.
Yeah, it's like, and then, like, my favorite part of the whole thing is at the very end. He like, he sees the devil again. He goes. The devil's like, "What do you want?" He goes, "More. I want more."
So speaking of
That would have
wanting,
been like a great Twilight Zone episode.
speaking of wanting more, this guy wants more of you, Mike. But not in a weird way. It's a pretty short little email here, but it just says, "Hi guys, my name's Terry. Mike, fuck Marvel movies. You are absolutely right. Don't let any of these morons tell you differently. Keep sticking it to them every week. Love the show."
Thank you.
So there's
You were my kind of person.
there's somebody on your side, Terry.
See, at first I thought it was my friend Terry, but I think he's really into Marvel, so he wouldn't write such an email.
Maybe it was Terry McGinnis. Maybe it was Leon. What's his name? Leon. I can't think of his name anymore.
Okay.
You know who I'm talking about. Leon.
I actually don't. What?
I can't think of his name. It's in the thing we're going to talk about today. The guy that got the wheelchair guy.
Willie McDan.
Yeah, Willie
Wheels.
Willie Wheels.
It was just a coincidence. That was already his name. It's not like a nickname or anything.
Oh my god. But so the other piece of news that I have is that what is it? Oh yeah, there's going to be a sequel apparently to Demolition Man. Supposedly Sylvester Stallone has said that it's already in talks or whatever. They're doing it at Warner Brothers. It's not being filmed or anything. Obviously, it hasn't been cast yet. Sylvester Stallone obviously is back for it. I wonder if Sandra Bullock will come back for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen her like in a movie in a while.
Yeah, now in these times of coronavirus and toilet papers flying off shelves, I think it's high time that we start using the 3 seashells.
Be sweet. I mean, honestly, it would be better if we just use like bidets in our country, which
Yes.
a lot of other countries do.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, that's
as people have said before. Like, what's better, like using like a cloth to get mud off of a gravel driveway, or spraying it with a hose?
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good gravel driveway is a good visual for that because it's got a lot of nooks and crannies and stuff.
Oh Lord.
But yeah, you're right. I've for a long time been an advocate of more bidets in the United States. They're super cheap too and pretty easy to install in your toilet. And
if you need a drink in the middle of the night, you're all set.
Exactly. And you don't, everyone's talking about like, oh, French people don't shower enough or whatever.
And
Which,
they're right.
But I mean, if you were getting your ass cleaned every single time you go to the bathroom, you don't have to shower quite as much.
Yeah, but it's like they think that if you just double up on the cologne, you don't need deodorant. You need both.
That's true. A whore's bath, I believe they call it.
I'm not sure. I know George Carlin had like a method, where you wash. It's like a hobo shower. You like wash like your armpits, your genitals, your anus, and I think that's about it.
Yep, that's all you need. Armpits, genital, and anus. That's all you need.
My 6-year-old's learning how to ride a bike with training wheels, and she goes, "This bike seat hurts my anus." I'm like, "Oh, I don't think that's your anus. That's hurting. So
right.
We have a really bad problem here."
Right. Welcome to the world of fucking uncomfortable seats.
Right. That's like one of the real joys of like parenthood, teaching them something like that that's really, going to stick with them, for their life.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we're doing the same thing with my 6-year-old as well. Actually, we've been going with her on the bike and everything. She's getting pretty good at it.
Yeah, mine just kind of started the other day, but she's very determined, so that's good. She's very strong-willed, so I don't think it'll take long.
That's awesome. Yep, and like you said, once you learn, a bike like that, like you said, it's like riding a bike, right? Everybody knows it.
It's really weird, like that, like how your body just remembers how to do that. Like, because I bought a bike a couple years ago, and like I hadn't rode on a bike in like 10 years, like literally 10 years, and I got it, and I'm like, in like 5 seconds, I'm like, okay, I got it.
Yep, exactly. It really is weird, and that's kind of what I described to my 6-year-old too. I said, once your body kind of finds that balance, then you always have it. It's just always there. It's weird.
It's so odd. Like I'm like trying to explain to mine, and it's like, yeah, you're not learning how to ride a bike, you're learning how to balance. Once she has the pedaling down pretty well. Once you balance, that's all you have to learn.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's so weird because it doesn't seem like it's like a natural thing for someone to learn. Like, why in an evolutionary sense would you need to do that? I suppose like, at a like more prehistoric, ape type creature would have to like, balance on branches and such, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, speaking of balancing on branches though, we watched Green Room. So I thoroughly, I mean, rest in peace, Anton Yelchin. But I thought that Patrick Stewart was super good in this movie. What did you think, Mike?
In what movie?
Green Room, what we watched. Oh, I'm sorry, I watched Green Room, the movie, not the Green. Well, no, when I looked it up on YouTube, because by the way, so this is what we're doing this week. And for the foreseeable future, Dumpster Diving is doing a special series,
retrospective.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, on Dumpster Diving, like our mission is kind of like, well, not mission, but what we do with it is we try to highlight things, both good.
Our mission we've been charged with.
Yeah, both good and bad that for whatever reason might have gotten overlooked or not really given the eye that it deserved. And this is one of those shows that Mike and I, it's almost like they made the show. It's almost like they made this show for us, Mike, because we are both very fascinated with comedians and stand-up comedy as a whole. And there's almost nothing that makes me smile more. Not necessarily laugh out loud more, but smile more than listening to comedians talk about comedy and the history of comedy and the theory of comedy and things like that. It's just very fascinating and enjoyable for me.
Well, yeah, that and tossing silver dollars at homeless people.
Exactly. Watching them scramble to pick it up, it's great. But this show
is definitely up both of our alleys.
Mm-hmm. So this is The Green Room, not Green Room the movie, The Green Room, which is Paul Provenza hosts. You can find it on YouTube. They have every episode on YouTube, and it's Paul Provenza hosting different comedians every week, and they just kind of talk about, they talk about comedy, they talk about their lives, they talk about, just basic, the basic world of comedy.
Some topical stuff, not necessarily, it's a lot of theory of comedy too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. The thing that I was talking about that they mentioned is the Achille Lauro hijacking, which they don't actually ever say, but it's I think it was in 85, I think, when the Palestinian Liberation Front hijacked this ship, and what they ended up doing is they killed an American named that's the name I can't remember, Leon Klinghoffer, who was in a wheelchair. They shot him and threw him overboard. Yeah. And I think it was Yeah, I was thinking as Paul Provenza told this story about how shortly after this incident, a comedian was on a cruise ship because they had this section where they were talking about cruise ships and, performing on cruise ships and things like that. And he said, they go over the stuff with the comedian. They said, and don't mention anything about the very recent incidents that happened with the thing. And he said the comedian, like, one of the first things he says is there's a guy in the audience in a wheelchair. And he looks down at him and he goes, come on, laugh. It's not like we're going to shoot you in the head and throw you overboard. Which is exactly the kind of comedy that I think is hilarious.
Yes.
It's so funny that they laughed for so long and made so many riffs on this guy's death. But the best story I think comes at the end when I guess let's set it up a little bit. This episode featured Paul Provenza, obviously the host.
Eddie Izzard.
Yeah, Eddie Izzard, who's hilarious.
Eddie Izzard is a genius.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the most fascinating, just hearing him talk is fascinating. Even when he's not trying to be funny, he's a very interesting person.
Yeah, for example, he ran like 26 marathons in a row without ever having run a single marathon beforehand.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
There's a documentary filmed out. He did it for charity, but like his feet were like literally falling apart. Like the skin was separating from like the rest of his foot, and he just willed himself. He's so strong-willed. He made him. He's like, okay, I'll run 26 in a row.
Oh my God.
He speaks French and obviously his native tongue English. He's very interesting. Like his sexuality to me is very interesting because he refers to himself as a action transvestite, I believe. Mm-hmm. Is that correct? Do you know?
I'm not sure, but I will go with you on that.
But I mean, he's famously dressed, cross-dressed. I don't know if that's the appropriate term these days, but I mean no malice if it's not. And he said he feels transgender, but he's attracted to women. See, to me, I don't understand that. Like, obviously, I'm not in the situation. I don't know what it's like to be that way. But I mean, if you're like, for example, Caitlyn Jenner, I'm sorry, like she became a woman and now she's dating other women. I mean, that to me is interesting because I mean, that's literally like the old like joke, like I'm a lesbian trapped in a man's body.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So apparently, according to Wikipedia, the best of all sources, it says he calls himself, quote, somewhat boyish and somewhat girlish. When asked what pronouns he prefers, Izzard says either he or she. So it doesn't matter. I guess just not it or they, but either he or she does not matter to him. I guess.
Yeah, regardless, Eddie Izzard is a badass motherfucker.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely. He is. Yeah, and he is hilarious.
And he was doing this shit like in the 90s when it wasn't like, that's funny. It's like, oh, that's a guy dressed as a woman, when it was shocking, and he wasn't doing it to be shocking. He was just comfortable enough being himself.
Yeah, and so if you haven't seen Eddie Izzard's comedy, you need to go out and check out some of his shows. Very, very funny guy, very surrealist, but hilarious.
Yeah, maybe read a couple history books ahead of time, and you'll get a lot of the other material.
Yeah, that's true. Very cerebral comedian.
He doesn't talk down to his audience. He just has like the most like intellectual jokes you've ever seen, and then like the least intellectual. He's a
yeah. Absolutely.
And Larry Miller was also on here.
Yep. Larry Miller was here too. Larry Miller, I think, is basically the epitome of the 80s comedian.
Yeah, or like the perfect straight man.
Yeah. Because he was ubiquitous in the 80s, and his comic styling is exactly what you would imagine an 80s comedian to be. And then Drew,
I mostly know him as an actor. Like he's in one of a movie I like a lot. I wouldn't say one of my favorite movies, but it's in the top 100 for sure. 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh yeah, yep.
He plays the anxious gynecologist father.
Yeah, that's correct.
That sounds like archaeology and gynecology combined.
Sometimes they could be combined, I guess.
You wouldn't believe how big this Tyrannosaurus was down there.
I guess that's if you're a geriatric gynecologist. Is that like an archaeologist gynecologist?
I don't want to know. It's like working at a cheese sandwich.
A cold grilled cheese sandwich.
Oh.
But yeah, Larry Miller. You know, I always kind of have a soft spot in my heart for Larry Miller, though, because while he's not the most hilarious comedian ever, I used to watch, and a lot of people probably have this experience too. If you watched Comedy Central in the early '90s, and maybe
I didn't, Mark.
I know Mike was cable deprived, but you know, in the early '90s, like the mid '90s or whatever, he was on, you know, like what was it, like 2 drink minimum, I think. You know, Comics Allowed. There was a bunch of them. Basically, in the early days, Comedy Central was just clips of stand-up comedians.
What's weird is I don't find his jokes funny, but I find him funny. Does that make sense?
Yes. No, I agree.
Like his mannerisms and like his real personality. He's been on like the Adam Carolla podcast quite a bit. It's he's just a funny person. Like his stand up though, it's not especially funny to me.
They start out very interesting too because they start out shitting on Larry the Cable Guy and how much money he made in the previous year, $21 million. And also a hilarious joke by Mark Maron from the WTF podcast.
Wait, are you sure you have the right name?
Yeah, it's Mark Maron, right?
No, I'm just kidding. I don't find him funny at all.
Yo, okay. But he says, they were talking about popcorn. He's like, you know, when you pop popcorn and at the very bottom there's the kernels that never popped. Mark Maron says those are the ones that have integrity.
He's occasionally funny, but more I think I like to laugh at Mark Maron because like he's just so bitter.
Yes.
And now that he has some success, he doesn't really quite know how to handle his bitterness.
Right. What am I supposed to do now?
It's like the devil played a trick on
him. Yeah. Stephen King's character met the devil.
Yeah, he's a character from Needful Things. He got what he wanted, but now he's not quite sure he wanted it.
Right? Oh, holy shit.
Well, I guess I shouldn't have put rubber banded notes on all those rocks.
Oh my God. Give him what he wants and he'll go away.
That's Storm of the Century, and you know it.
So
I feel that HBO could do a really good miniseries of Needful Things.
Yeah, I agree. Yes. Yeah, because that's the thing is like, or even a limited series on Netflix, as long as it's one season. You know, you do like maybe 6 episodes, 8 episodes, something like that. Yeah, I think you could make it really well, really good. Is Max von Sydow still alive? Can he be Leland Gaunt again?
Probably not. Who do you think would be? You know who would be a really good Leland Gaunt? No, I think you'd have to age him a bit with makeup. Would be Viggo Mortensen.
Oh fuck yeah, that's a good call. Absolutely.
Or oh geez, I'm gonna forget his name. Vincent Gallo.
Oh yeah, Vincent Gallo too. Yeah, I could see that. I like Viggo Mortensen a lot, though. I think Viggo Mortensen would do a really good job.
Yeah, he's really good. It's weird. Like he seems like he hasn't been in a lot of movies. I've heard he's really good, or at least the movie is really good. In A History of Violence. Have you ever seen that?
Yes. Yeah, that's a good movie.
Yeah, I might check that out. I don't know if it's on a streaming thing or whatever. But yeah, I don't even know how he got on Needful Things. But yeah, I think after this we should both rewatch The Watchmen. That was such a good series. It's I need to watch it again. I was so bitter at the beginning of it because I thought it would suck.
Right. Yeah, I will watch it for sure. I'll watch The Watchmen. We can have a new podcast. Who watches The Watchmen?
And we go watch the movie too, but the movie I don't like for a lot of reasons.
Yep. No, we feel we feel very much the same about the Watchmen movie.
Yeah.
But
yeah, Larry Miller is in it, and you said Mark Maron, Larry Miller, Eddie Izzard, and who's the fourth one?
Mark Maron's not in it. It's Eddie Izzard, Larry Miller, Drew Carey.
Drew Carey, that's right. Yeah, I've watched so many of these; they kind of like meld together at a certain point.
And Reginald D. Hunter, who was to me one of the more interesting people to hear from, just because I'm not super familiar with him. Like I'm very familiar with the rest of them, but his story was interesting to me just because.
Yeah, especially Mark Maron.
Yeah. Again, Mark Maron wasn't on it, but yep. I think Mark Maron is in one of the. Yeah, Mark Maron's in the one with
Gary Shandling,
yes,
Bo Burnham, and Ray Romano.
Yeah, they had to make sure that that Bo Burnham and Gary Shandling, two much funnier people, were on there to offset him.
Yeah, I think that might be my favorite episode. That or the one with Jimmy Carr, because I like Jimmy Carr a lot.
Yeah, I like Jimmy Carr too.
Although the David Tell, Doug Stanhope ones, we'll get to them. But yeah. So Mark Maron's sitting there talking with Eddie Izzard.
Yep. Yep. And he's saying, "How come I'm not more famous? Oh wait, now I am.
I hate being famous.
What am I gonna do?"
Well, I think a Mark Maron's not far from a Danny DeVito. The only problem is, who fucking cares about Mark Maron?
Right. I don't even know what Mark Maron sounds like, so I'm not even trying to do an impression. But yeah, so they talk a lot about, in this episode, they talk a lot about, kind of the theory of stand-up and everything. They highlight that Reginald D. Hunter is born in the United States, but he moved to England and started doing stand-up there and found success there. And he said, it's different there than here, right?
It seems a lot. I mean, Eddie Izzard, I'm sure, is a perfect example. Like, his shows are more like almost like one-man shows, if that makes sense. Like, they're not like that's not universally true. Pardon me. But like Jimmy Carr is definitely like a very one-liner type, comedian, which I really like that style of comedy. But a lot of comedians who go to England say it's like, it's like you're putting on like a one-man show.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And I mean, Paul Provenza brings up, during this episode, that stand-up comedy is kind of a uniquely American thing. And they equate it to jazz, which is also a uniquely American art form. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, even going back to like Mark Twain, like when Mark Twain would tour around, he was kind of a stand-up comedian. Will Rogers, same type of thing.
Vince Champ.
Exactly, Vince Champ. I mean, I think
Cosby, obviously.
Vince Champ's motto was hit him and move on.
I mean, of all the gimmicks to have, he probably had the worst.
He definitely, comedians are supposed to leave you wanting more. He definitely didn't do that.
I think he did the exact opposite.
A lot of those women wanted a lot less.
Okay, have you ever seen the Marvelous Miss Maple on Amazon Prime.com?
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it. No.
I think it takes place in the 30s or 40s. I think it's kind of like supposed to be a little bit about like the rise of stand-up comedy as a form.
Okay.
She's like a Jewish woman who's married to a guy at first, and they divorce, and like
a Jewish comedian. What?
Yeah, it's hard to believe, but you eventually get used to it.
Okay.
But like he's trying to be a stand-up comedian, but she's actually much funnier. She like gives a speech at her wedding and that kind of stuff, and she goes to Catskills, that kind of stuff. It's kind of interesting. I stopped watching it because it got kind of boring, but I mean the whole inception of it was pretty.
Oh, that's cool. Mike stopped watching it because it was about a woman being funny, which he doesn't think is possible. I'm okay with it, but Mike...
I think it's possible. I mean, the many worlds theory in physics. I think a lot of them are funny. My wife, for example, is hilarious. Obviously Roseanne Barr, Joan Rivers. There's more probably.
Sarah Silverman.
It's like the Norm Macdonald. I kind of find her funny, but I feel she does the same joke over and over. It's like, ooh, I'm a kind of attractive woman making dirty jokes.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was referencing, was the Norm Macdonald one where he's like, Sarah Silverman, who's funnier than her? And they're like, oh yeah. He's like, except for a bunch of guys.
I think if you and I compared our YouTube playlists, they'd be almost identical.
Yeah.
But there'd be a lot more Lizzie McGuire on yours.
You know what I'm super into now that it's probably not on yours, because you've dominated this field, is I watch like 2 or 3 fitness YouTubers as well now, because I'm kind of like I'm getting into working out a little bit more, and I want to I want to take care of myself, get myself in a little bit better shape and everything. So I've been watching a couple different fitness YouTubers as well. That would be I think the one difference. Other than that, it's pretty identical.
Yeah, I watch a lot of like nutrition, like especially about like veganism. I think it's pretty interesting. Obviously I don't follow it, but
Right.
yeah, I don't really watch fitness ones.
Yeah, I watch Greg. I think I mentioned Greg Doucette when we talked to Mr. Ed Begley Jr. And
that was awesome. By the way, I mean he could have been like more generous with his time.
Absolutely.
He was on for like an hour, I think.
Yeah.
He was like waiting to go to dinner, but he just didn't bring it up.
His daughter's like standing there looking at her watch and shit. Like, let's go, Dad. Stop talking about fucking Better Call Saul. I was thinking because he mentioned Elizabeth Moss a couple times, and I was like, man, he must be a really big Elizabeth Moss fan. And then I realized that he probably just saw the Invisible Man movie because she's.
No, I'm sure it's The Handmaid's Tale.
Oh yeah, that's right. She's in that too.
That or Get Him to the Greek.
Yeah, exactly.
He just loved that. He just loved her in there.
I guess she is kind of having a moment now, if you think about it, with The Handmaid's Tale, and that she apparently, I haven't seen it yet, but apparently she's excellent in that Invisible Man movie.
Is that like the classic Invisible Man, or I'm sure it's not the Ralph Ellison version?
No, it's not the Ralph Ellison version.
No, with Hollywood, I wouldn't be shocked. The Invisible Man is George Clooney. Man, it sure sucks being black.
No one can see me, handsome man, George Clooney. No, it is the like classic, MGM monster, I guess. But the setup is Elizabeth Moss is dating this like billionaire dude, and he's abusive and like an asshole. She breaks up with him and goes to stay with her friends, and all of a sudden it's like she's being tormented by him. Like he's leaving her notes, like he's invisible. So the question of the movie is he really, like, has he really figured out a way to become invisible with all his money and shit? And he's like really fucking around with her, like basically gaslighting her and being a complete asshole? Or is this all in her imagination? She's kind of like losing it. So like that's the setup of the movie.
It's not like the. Do you know what the answer is at the end? Did you see this?
I haven't seen the movie, but I do know what the answer is at the end.
I have no intention to see this. Could you just tell me so I know for my own curiosity's sake?
Yeah. So the answer is he is constructed with his billions of dollars some sort of invisible suit. I don't know exactly how it works, but it has to do with mirrors and like fucking reflecting light. He's basically Elon Musk, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
But like, yeah, he's an asshole, and he's trying to gaslight her. The other podcast that I listened to, the Weekly Planet podcast, which I brought up a couple times, they do this thing called Superhero Showdown, and they have people write in and give them matchups. I don't know how exactly they came up with this. One of their earlier episodes, they said basically the setup is this. It's an American football field, completely empty or whatever.
Big American party.
Yeah, exactly. One person shows up on one side, one person shows up on the other side, and they instantly know each other's a threat, and they run at each other. Who's gonna win? And it's whoever it is at their peak powers. So somebody put in the Invisible Man versus Sue Storm, who, from the Fantastic Four is the Invisible Woman, the Jessica Alba version. So, on the Reddit for the Weekly Planets, r/Weekly Planet Pod, on Reddit for you Reddit fans out there, or you Redditors as they call you. Every once in a while people will do like their own art and stuff like that. They'll draw pictures of the podcasters or whatever, like funny little meme pictures and stuff, and then people like it and they commented on it and shit. I can't draw at all or anything like that. But when someone said this, like the Invisible Man and the Invisible Woman, basically fighting against each other, the first thought that came into my head was, wouldn't they show up invisible? And then would they even know that anyone was there? And I just like, in my head, I just saw an empty football field with like a tumbleweed like passing by. So I basically just found a drawing of a football field, and I went to Reddit and I said, here's my artist rendering of the Invisible Man versus the Invisible Woman from the latest thing. And I think I have to check it again. I'm going to check it right now. But last time I checked, I think it had something like 300 upvotes or something like that.
Nice.
It was the most upvotes I've ever gotten from, anything. And people were... people were writing stuff like 323. That's what it's up to. People were like, "Oh man, it's fucking brutal." I think the slyest, funniest comment was this one. This person wrote, "Your work is inconceivable," which I think is just a very sly, funny line. Because it literally can't be conceived.
I don't hear that enough. Unless you're at the fucking Stallone residence.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, where's Sly steroids?
Oh, yeah.
I like to think that Wesley Snipes would be in Demolition Man 2.
Even though he died in the first one?
Yep.
Did they put him back on ice? I don't remember how the movie ends.
I don't remember either. Oh, and Mark, I did want to apologize. Please, if you'll accept my apology.
Sure. Why? What happened?
I'm sorry I'm not the Weekly Planet podcast.
Oh, it's okay, man.
Actually, I have another question about this Invisible Man thing.
Uh-huh.
Is this actually a Universal monster movie? I mean, did they completely abandon that? Do you know? I know they did the Mummy with Tom Cruise or something.
I think it's supposed to be one of them, but I don't know. Like, I don't know what the fuck they're planning on doing with it.
That sounds like the shittiest version of like the Marvel universe. Like, oh, let's take a property that's 100 years.
Yeah. No one's done a successful Wolfman movie in a long time. I'm sure there's no reason for that.
Are people so afraid of mummies? Yeah. Oh no, shit, there's a mummy.
Oh man. Yeah, it's the dark universe. Yeah, I think this is supposed to be part of it, but what they did, so Blumhouse did this one. Basically, they kind of just gave it to
Blumhouse.
Yeah, they just gave it to Jason Blum and said, you do it, and the budget was super small, and then it made a bunch of money, and that's how you do these things. You don't make. I think the Mummy was something like, I think it was like a $200 million budget or something like that, or like $250 million budget. You don't make a horror movie for $250 million. You're never gonna make that money back.
No, I mean, who cares about the Mummy these days?
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. It could be the best.
Don't see fucking Dracula movies anymore.
It could be the best horror movie in the world. Horror movies just don't make that money. It might be a big niche, but it's still a niche audience.
I feel that a lot of horror movies are based on like the current like zeitgeist, like maybe back like in the 20s or 30s when the Mummy first came out, like people were still kind of fascinated by like the Egyptian excavations, that sort of thing, But I mean, now, who the fuck? Have you ever heard somebody say they're afraid of mummies?
No. No.
I go ahead and dream about a mummy.
I mean, and then the thing is too is this dark universe. Their plan was to have different movies with. I think Bride of Frankenstein was one. Obviously they did Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and stuff like that. They were going to do they did the Mummy, they did Dracula.
Did they do Dr. Jekyll and Miss Hyde?
Stoner's favorite movie. But it's like, what's the ultimate team up movie? Is it just going to be the Monster Squad? Remember that movie?
That'd be awesome. Did you know Carmen Harlan was in the Monster Squad?
No, I didn't.
And she's a reporter at the beginning or the end.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I would be into a Monster Squad movie.
Yeah, Wolfman
But the
has
same
nards.
people all grown up.
Oh my god, I would so watch that. The same people all grown up.
Yeah, I feel that these monsters, no one's really like care. I mean, vampires were like a trend like 10 years ago.
Mhm.
Later, they had all the Blade movies and like was it Twilight? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, yeah,
I think it's Twilight. And then they had like the what is it? With Kate Beckinsale, the Underworld. Well,
yeah.
I mean, that's like people aren't into fucking Draculas anymore.
Mm-hmm. You know
I mean,
what's
they had Buffy the Vampire Slayer too. I mean, it was a 10-year trend. Now it's like zombies, and they're going on to the next one. I don't know what it is.
what's kind of fucked up? So, no, that can't be the same
Apartheid?
kid. Yeah, that's true. Apartheid was pretty fucked up. Oh my god. Why does it have that? Can't be the same guy. Maybe I don't know.
What?
So I looked up that one guy, Brent Chalem, who was the fat guy, or the fat kid from the Monster Squad, and one of the
Horace. His name is Horace.
oh, okay, sorry, Horace. It shows it shows the guy at the beginning of the Ghostbusters movie, who's getting shocked. He's super thin though.
Which one? The original or the new one?
No, the original. And I'm like, there's no way that's the same
Yeah,
kid.
there's no way. That's not possible.
Because that movie came out in 84 and the Monster Squad came out in 87. So.
Yeah, unless he had like a big type situation temporarily.
No.
I want to be big and not fat.
So, let's see. He was in an episode of Small Wonder, by the way. And then Punky Brewster, Mr. Belvedere, and an episode of Quantum Leap in 1989. Really? And that's the end of his filmography. And unfortunately, he died in 1997.
Oh, no.
In Las Vegas, Nevada. He was born in 74.
During a triathlon?
Yeah. He was only 22 when he died. I don't know.
Suicide?
Don't know what happened to him. Well, was he gay? Or was it suicide?
Well, we know he's dead.
Oh, no, he died of pneumonia.
Oh, geez. Rest in peace, Horace.
Yeah, that's even sad. I mean, it's not sad if you kill yourself. Fuck you.
How do you think suicide's not sad?
I'm just joking. But
we did all sorts of fun things. We witnessed a suicide.
But yeah, pneumonia. Oh, that sucks, man. Jeez. How do you catch pneumonia in Las Vegas, Nevada?
Maybe it was like a complication of something else. I don't know. I'm not saying he had full-blown AIDS or anything, but I mean, sometimes.
Wait, was he in a wheelchair? Maybe he was hijacked by pirates.
Aw. I ain't never heard of that.
Oh. You never heard of Leon
Trotsky?
King Hoffer?
King Hoff? No? Well, until you just mentioned him earlier.
Yeah, Klinghoffer, that's what it was. Oh yeah, it's a weird. It was an Italian boat and got hijacked by off the coast of Egypt. Huh?
Well, that's two bad things.
Yep. So we've talked about two tragedies. So we're right on topic.
Yeah, more tragedy in this episode. Sorry. Hey, speaking of the Universal Monster movies, if you could reboot or remake one franchise, what would it be?
Oh gosh.
I've heard. I've never read them though. I've heard the Fletch books are very good.
They are. I've read. I haven't read all of them, but I've read some of them. I like them a lot. That'd be a good one to do without Chevy Chase. No offense, Mr. Chase.
You don't want to bring it back?
Maybe Ed Begley Jr. can introduce us to Chevy Chase, and then we can interview him. Let's see, Fletch. I mean, I like the original Fletch movie. It's decent. I'm trying to.
That could be a franchise.
I'm trying to think if anyone could do it. Like if anyone could be Fletch.
I'd say Ryan Reynolds if you were younger.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds is a good one. Ryan Reynolds is like a funnier Chevy Chase.
What about that Spider-Man guy?
No offense, Mr. Chase. Which one? Tobey Maguire? Tom Holland?
Not. The new one, is that the new one? The Tom Holland guy?
Yeah. Tom Holland from England.
Oh yeah, I hate British people. Never mind.
Oh, Mr. Feige. Master Feige.
He's eating gruel.
Please.
Hey,
Please.
did you know that the Harry Potter movie specifically said only British people can be in it?
Oh, wow. Fucking
That's right.
racist.
I read some actor was like American actor was supposed to be in it, but then they said, "Oh, sorry, only British."
Kenneth Branagh was in it.
He's like Scottish or something.
Oh, yeah, he's British. He's from the Empire.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, because Harry Potter is just like fucking Shakespeare.
Yeah, exactly. It must be protected.
Are we gonna do a response wizard trilogy or septology maybe?
Yeah, it was 7 books. We should. We should do a response to Harry Potter.
It's like the most British name too.
We'll call it Wizard Dale. the most American name ever. Hey, this is Wizard Dale.
Oh yeah, like from Alabama.
Semtium Kerbashum.
No, it's all hold my beer.
Yeah, exactly. Every spell is incantated by hold my beer. It's just how you flick the wand.
You're 12.
Hold my beer.
Dale, you're 12.
He's on fire.
I'm gonna root around in there. I feel like the American version of James Bond is a lot better, like Jason Bourne.
Yes, yeah, agreed.
Because when you think about it, James Bond kind of sucks. I mean, the newer one has better action, but I mean, Jason Bourne will kick his ass.
Yeah, and it's just I've never been super interested in James Bond. I think I saw. I don't know if you were with us, but a group of us who were friends in high school.
Near duels.
We watched We went to see GoldenEye when it first came out. I think that was the first one, right? The first one with Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah, that was good.
I think you were there. I don't remember though. It was like 5 of us. It was like the crew. Like Bill was there and some other people.
I like how you consider Bill to be the crew. Bill and I don't know who else. But fucking Bill was there.
It was the squad. I honestly don't even know if Bill was there or not. I'm just like it was those guys.
He didn't have anything better to do.
No. It is weird because we went to see
dye his hair with puff paint.
or to carve Weezer in his arm. Which, yeah, we had a friend that carved Weezer in his arm, and
you remain nameless.
and it got him sent down to the school psychologist.
It's like Slayer, but not cool.
Yeah, he let us put puff paint in his hair, and he tried to get it out with turpentine and shit, and it just wouldn't come out. So he just had to let it grow out and cut it.
Didn't he try to bleach his hair with like household bleach?
Yeah. I walked into his house, and I can't remember who was with him, but I walked into his house, and he was about to bleach his hair with laundry bleach. And I go, "What are you doing?" They were in
I think he did.
They were in the basement by his laundry tub, about to pour it on there. He might have got a little bit on his hair, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And they goes, "Oh, we're gonna bleach Bill's hair." And I said, "Not with that bleach."
See, I feel that was me.
Was it? So you were just fucking with him?
Yeah, I kind of just like to encourage him to do his dipshittery.
That's hilarious. Oh my god. But yeah, GoldenEye was a good movie. That's what we were talking about, right?
Yeah. I like some scenes from James Bond movies, like the scene from Casino Royale, the opening parkour scene is pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah, Casino Royale is a pretty good movie too, actually. But that just a lot of them get bad from there. Because your franchise thing, James Bond crossed my mind, but it's like I don't like it enough to really want to reboot it. So I don't think I'd choose that one. If I had to choose one, I mean, there are not a lot of good franchises. First of all, I'm not a huge fan of franchises anyway because I like like if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna do long form like serialized storytelling, I prefer it to be in the guise of television than make me watch 2 hour movies, twice a year for 10 fucking years to get the
So
story.
the Marvel universe, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, basically that's what they do. That's what all of them are trying to emulate. Um, but yeah, I
Star
mean,
Wars.
Fletch is probably the best one that I can think of where I think you could make like 5 good movies out of it probably.
This is gonna blow your mind. I'd go with Star Wars.
Really?
I give it a gritty, hard R rating. You'd be seeing ladies' tits be cut off by lightsabers,
Oh, okay.
finger banging. It'd be like realistic. Like it wouldn't be a children's movie.
Mhm.
It'd be like the premise of Star Wars. I think is kind of cool. You have like these cool powers. I wouldn't have the midichlorian thing be in there anymore.
Right.
I'd have it be like maybe 1 or 2 movies. It'd just be like someone's like finally puts the Force to rest forever, and it gets rid of the superstition in the Star Wars universe. And then there's a lot of like cool like lightsaber battles. There's someone who doesn't know how to use lightsaber. There's bounty hunters. There's like like graph. It's like the beginning of Saving Private Ryan constantly throughout the movie. That's how my version would be.
Okay. Yeah, I would
Like
see that for sure.
adults.
Yeah, exactly. They should. They should do it for adults.
There'd be no toys you could make from this movie.
Disney would try. It would get new Lady Proxima or whatever her name is with
It's a
realistic
bisected Jedi.
with realistic tits falling off action. Just press a button.
See, that had to be the opening scene, so people would be like, "Oh my god, this is a Star Wars movie." I think they just lopped that woman's tits off.
Oh my god. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, Paul Provenza.
Yeah, Paul Provenza. You know another one real quick though. Quentin. I think we talked about this before, but Quentin Tarantino was talking about doing a Star Trek movie. I would pay to see Quentin Tarantino's Star Trek movie.
I'm not a Star Trek fan, anyways. I don't see because what kind of like bothers me about that is, did you ever see the movie? Shit, it's a submarine movie that's not Red October. Denzel Washington is in it.
Yeah. Crimson Tide.
Crimson Tide. He rewrote some of the dialogue for it. I'm almost positive it's where they're talking about like superheroes and that kind of stuff because that's a very Quentin Tarantino-esque type scene to write. But I mean, it didn't make the movie. It didn't make that scene spectacular. I think he's better when he makes his own.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, from what I've seen of him, I like his original ideas much better than anything, but he hasn't like I haven't really seen him like he hasn't really ever taken on like a franchise type thing, so it's hard to say, but
No. Speaking of Quentin Tarantino, did you know that there's another book that's actually it's not a prequel to Jackie Brown, it was just written first?
yeah, so
Road Dogs. It's called Road Dogs. The same 2 characters of Robert De Niro and Samuel Jackson.
mhm.
I wouldn't mind if he made that into a movie.
I'm trying to think if they no, I don't think they made that into a movie ever.
Know what I'm saying? Since I mean, I wouldn't want him to use Samuel Jackson and Robert De Niro again.
Right.
But it's the same characters. I mean, he could use. I don't know who would be good. Because I mean, the character doesn't necessarily look like Samuel Jackson and Jackie Brown. He just like made his own look.
Mhm.
He could use a number of like young actors to play. I'd say probably 30s or 40s. I can't think of any like especially pop out, but I would love to see that.
Yeah, that would not be bad.
I mean, Elmore Leonard has so much material. I mean, Quentin Tarantino is a natural fit. I mean, it's heavy on like really good dialogue, pretty sparse descriptions of the scenes. But I mean, like every book is like you pick it up and it's like it's a hangout, like as Quentin Tarantino often describes his movies.
Someone did. I mean, speaking of like books and stuff like that, somebody did a thing where they said, you could make a Stephen King cinematic universe, which you absolutely could. Yeah, you absolutely could because a lot of his books interconnect and everything. So you definitely could do that.
That's a limited like success. Like you said, the first season of Castle Rock was really good, but the one I watched, I didn't like.
Yeah, that was the second season wasn't good.
Are they doing a third?
I think so. Yeah, probably. I
But let's
assume
go
that
back to the original form.
I assume it's doing well for Hulu. Which, by the way, you can also watch the Green Room on Hulu. Apparently, it's also on
Oh, nice.
Hulu.
Yeah, I just go to YouTube because it's right there. But yeah, if it's on Hulu, why not? Show them that you like it. I really enjoy the show. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you and I both like comedians talking about comedy. They riff, they make barbs at each other. It's fun. I mean, they participate with the audience. I didn't really know who Paul Provenzo was before the Green Room. Did you? I know you had access to cable.
Yeah, well, Paul Provenzo was another one of those comedians that was
Larry
on
Miller.
Comedy Central, and he did. I think he had a show on Comedy Central too, actually. So he like emceed a show or something. But yeah, so I was aware of who he was.
Yeah, but I really enjoy the show. I've watched a bunch of episodes as you have. I like the different comedians. It's interesting the way he pairs them sometimes. He's like, Eddie Izzard, who's like, again, he's an absolute genius. He's a brilliant comedian. And Larry Miller, who, as you said, I mean, to me at least, I don't find him especially funny, like, joke wise, but personality wise, he's funny. I mean, there is a nice, blend he often has of the different comedians.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
Mark Maron's just like, a servant kind of guy, and he's there with,
Yep, he's sitting next to Drew Carey or behind Drew Carey. The ghost of Mark Maron is in every episode of this show.
Hey, Drew Carey is a very interesting person, I find as well. Do you know much about Drew Carey?
I know a little bit about him. I can't remember where I heard this story from because it wasn't on this episode, but he was talking about how he played some online game, like one of the, I can't remember what it is, but one of the role playing games online. And he would talk to people, and then like people would find out he was Drew Carey or whatever. And I think he talked on the phone to some of these people and stuff. Like he seems like a really very, even with success, like a very like down to earth kind of like, just shoots the shit with whoever kind of person.
It has a very weird side to him too. Like I think I've heard a couple descriptions of people like going to his house, and there's just like these sex dolls like laying around everywhere.
Oh my god. I remember he like back in the day he used to like to hang out with strippers and prostitutes and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, good for him. To me, I don't think that's necessarily the thing to me if I wasn't married. I mean, prostitutes sound very convenient, but it also sounds very risky. But I mean, if he finds happiness there, good for him.
Right. Yeah, I mean, to each their own. I've never been with a prostitute, but I hear it can be nice.
I hear that you just pay them to leave.
Yeah. I've heard, or I got propositioned by a prostitute once when I was in Las Vegas. I was going into...
What was his name?
I guess I walked into that one.
Oh, did you, or did he walk into that one?
No, he backed into that one. I was going into the Paris casino, and the woman prostitute outside there, she said, "Hey, where are you going?" And I said, "I'm going to play blackjack or whatever I was going to do." And she said, "Oh, why go in there and spend your money there? Let's, you got a hotel here." And I was staying with our friend Ben, who lives in Las Vegas. And I said, "No, I'm staying with a friend." She's like, "Well, I've got a hotel upstairs." She goes, I've got a card game. It's called Sex is Wild. She goes, "We deal out the cards and then we just take off our clothes." And I was like, I kind of chuckled and I was like, I thought to myself, that's very creative. That's nice. And I said, maybe, later. And then I went into the casino. And also...
You came back with the cards like, "Where'd you go?"
Also...
Was she an attractive prostitute?
She was very attractive, yeah, for sure.
Nice.
And then one time I was in the Wynn Casino in Vegas, and it was late at night. I was going to play poker there, and there was a woman also very attractive, sitting at a slot machine, not really playing, just kind of sitting there. And she goes, "Hey, come over here." And she started talking to me, and it turned out she was a prostitute. And she's like, "Where are you from?" And I was like, "I'm from Michigan." And she goes, "Oh, I'm from Michigan too." And I'm thinking, "Yeah, sure you are." And then she starts talking to me about like St. Joseph and like like different things, like kind of like farther up north. And I was like, "Oh fuck, you really are from Michigan." Like
Mitch
she
said, "Oh,"
knew way too much about up north to not be from Michigan.
Oh, speaking of Michigan, do you ever watch the COVID-19 like updates from the city of Detroit?
Not really. No. Every once in a while, I'll check online about some stuff, but I haven't seen a lot of it. No.
Yeah, I kind of watch them. I don't know why. I just do. I get alerts on Facebook, but it was pretty funny. Mayor Duggan of Detroit, he said like they got these vans or Honda Odysseys that are retrofitted to like have like a barrier and like they recycle the air and stuff. He goes, "Yeah, well, finally one good thing from Columbus because it's their
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I thought it was funny.
Oh, but yeah, that's the green room. I mean, basically, like I said, it's it's a good show. We're gonna continue to talk about it.
We love comedy and comedians, and that's right up our alley. We're going to talk about it. There's maybe 2 seasons. I don't know if we'll go the whole way, but we'll try.
Yeah, we will see what we do. What we can do.
Yeah, we get bored sometimes. Sorry, that's just how it is. If you can't follow along, then maybe go to the Weekly Planet, right, Mark?
Yeah, exactly.
And they know what they're doing.
Yeah, they keep it simple. Yeah, tune into those fucks. There's a podcast you listen to. You listen to Gilbert Gottfried's podcast, right?
I don't really listen to a lot lately, since we've been quarantined.
Oh, okay.
I listen to like local radio station, Dave and Chuck the Freak a lot.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And Joe Rogan sometimes.
Joe Rogan, DMT. You could do some DMT, Mike.
I don't think I would. That seems like too severe of a hallucinogen for me. How about you, Mark? Would you try it?
Apparently, that's the stuff that like gets juiced into your brain as you're dying. What causes everyone to see like the white lights and all this euphoric shit and everything.
Yeah, when you're born and when you die is the 2 times your body naturally produces DMT.
Yeah, so probably not. I'll probably just wait on that one.
Yeah, it seems really a little extreme to me. Like I wouldn't mind trying some hallucinogens, but DMT just seems like it's too much for me.
Yeah. But that is our episode for the week. We will see you. Well, we'll see you Thursday for the regular show, and we'll see you next Friday for the next episode of the Green Room on dumpster diving. So you guys,
I just want to wish a happy Mother's Day to the whores out there who couldn't have the guy pull out.
Yep, happy Mother's Day.
And my mother, who is not in the same category.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there who've never heard of Plan B.
Right.
All right. You guys have a good week, and we will see you next week. Bye.
See you next time.